Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into an analysis of the fictional blockbuster Dhurandhar. Now, the source we're examining doesn't treat it as just entertainment. No, it sees this film as a major cultural flashpoint, something that holds up a mirror to the deep fractures in our society.
All right, let's get right into it. As our source material shows, this film has sliced public opinion right down the middle. On one hand, it's hailed as this incredible patriotic epic. But on the other, it's criticized, and pretty harshly, as being Islamophobic, ultra-nationalist, and incredibly polarizing. So, our job today is to explore why.
So here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to peel back the layers, starting with its role as a cultural flashpoint. Then, we'll dive into what the source calls the propaganda playbook. After that, we'll decode the hidden message, and finally, look at the very real-world ripple effects.
So, first things first, the cultural flashpoint. The analysis we're looking at insists that to really get a grip on this film's power, you can't just see it as a story. You have to see it as an event that landed smack in the middle of a supercharged political environment. It's not just reflecting the tensions that are already there, it's cranking up the volume on them.
Okay, so that begs the question, right? How does a movie become that influential? Well, our source breaks down the cinematic toolbox and identifies something it calls a propaganda playbook. Basically, a set of core techniques used to really shape how an audience thinks and feels.
Now, what's really key here is how these three things work together. It's not just one of them, it's the combination. This mix of a perfect hero, these raw emotional triggers, and just enough historical truth to make it all feel real. According to the source, that's what creates such a powerful and biased narrative. Let's start with the characters. The analysis points out that the hero is crafted to be this ideal citizen, almost like he's walked straight out of the ruling BJP party's political rhetoric. He's disciplined, he's loyal. But in total contrast, the villains, they get painted with this incredibly broad brush, where officials, spies, and terrorists all just get lumped together into one single monstrous identity.
And this right here is a perfect example of what the source means by emotional manipulation. The analysis points to scenes where religious phrases are intentionally paired with incredibly graphic violence. This quote really says it all. It's about taking something sacred and using it to create this deep, gut-level connection to something barbaric in the viewer's mind.
And the third technique? That's historical distortion. This is where things get blurry. The analysis is really specific, showing how real events are twisted and mixed with fiction. For example, a Pakistani critic says, yeah, the movie's well made, but its version of Karachi is just not accurate. It mashes up local crime with international conflict because it serves the story better.
Okay, so we've seen the how, but what about the why? What's the point of all this? Now, with those techniques in mind, we can go a layer deeper. The source material starts to decode what it argues is the film's hidden political and religious agenda.
Now, a key concept the analysis brings up is saffronizing narratives. It's central to the whole argument. Basically, the term describes a process where patriotism gets a new definition. It's not about loving a diverse country anymore. It's about defending a very specific Hindu cultural identity. And of course, that automatically frames other faiths as a potential threat.
The analysis argues the film is just packed with messaging that lines up with the ruling party. I mean, it doesn't get much more direct than this post-credits scene. This is a Naya Bharat, or New India. That's not just some throwaway movie dialogue. The source points out this phrase is pulled directly from the political stage, blurring that line between the movie's hero and a political mouthpiece.
And this brings us to what might be the most critical part of this entire analysis, the jump from the cinematic world to the real world. Why are we even talking so much about a fictional movie? Because as the source argues, its impact absolutely does not stop when the credits roll.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Does a movie, a piece of art, actually change how people behave in the real world? While the source material tackles this head-on, it moves past just analyzing the film and starts looking at data and historical examples to build its case.
And yeah, there's data to consider. Research that's cited in the analysis found that nearly half, 46%, of young viewers say they've been influenced by the way different communities are shown in movies. That's a huge number, and it suggests that for a lot of people, what they see on screen can directly shape how they see the world.
And this isn't just theoretical. The source points to a very real, very recent precedent, the 2022 film, The Kashmir Files. The analysis lays out this really disturbing timeline.
It starts with the film's release, then moves to documented cases of hate speech breaking out inside theaters, and finally, it connects the film to at least one actual incident of communal violence.
So how does a movie allegedly get us to that point? Well, the source proposes this 5-step mechanism. Think of it like dominoes. First, the film normalizes negative portrayals. Then audiences internalize them as truth. That truth gets amplified in their social media bubbles. The film then validates any anger they already had, and in the worst cases, that can manifest as actual aggression.
So where does all of this leave us? The analysis suggests that this film is a perfect example of a new reality, where the lines between entertainment and ideology are being intentionally blurred. It's not just a movie, it's a political message, just wrapped up in a really exciting, really compelling package.
And I think the big takeaway here is that modern propaganda isn't some obvious, in-your-face command. It's so much more subtle. As the source describes it, it works by getting you to emotionally connect with the hero, by blurring that line between what's real and what's not, and by using beautiful filmmaking to slip past your rational brain and hit you right in the gut.
Ultimately, the analysis leaves us with this final, very provocative thought. And look, this isn't just about one film, it's about the entire media world we live in now. It forces us to ask a really tough question. When we're consuming all these stories, where exactly do we draw the line between just being entertained and being influenced? And maybe more importantly, how do we get better at seeing the ways these stories might be shaping us?